got another one to go over. Hopefully you guys like this. This is going back to kind of what I originally started doing, or what got me into it in the beginning, which was preserving old dials. So just to kind of go over how I got into it in the beginning, I used to pick up vintage watches, and I would just kind of throw them in with like a mystery box of watches, right? So I do like custom straps on different watches, and then I would throw in an old vintage Russian Vostok just because it was cool. Well, there was one guy at one point, even though I referenced on there, it's just an old watch, like a history piece. The guy sent it back to me, and he was completely pissed off and said that he was late for some class or something that he taught at because the watch didn't keep proper time. I was like, well, that's a 40-year-old watch. It was just a bonus extra watch that I threw in there for you. So that got me into buying serviced ones. And then when I looked into it further, I saw that with a little bit of know-how, which I didn't know, I could put it on a brand new movement. So that's what I started doing when I first got into it. So this happens to be an officer's dial. So it's got the 3AK3 MO CCCP at the bottom. So this was issued to someone in the military, USSR military. So this is a pre-1991 dial. And it's orange in the center. You got a little bit of purple going on. It's scraped up. It's scratched. It's got some green. It almost looks like burn marks going around there. So this dial is minimally 30 years old, probably closer to 40. So brand new automatic movement in there. I did a white hand set, just a thin set, not stock style hands. And then I did a white second hand, just to have a little bit of pop on there. So that's in a bead blasted case. So you got a bead blasted case going all the way around. Did a Komandirskie logo crown on there to go with the Komandirskie. They have the old star, but in later models they have the star with the partial chevron there. Did a large window exhibition case back in there. I did a distressed steel movement holder, which you can't really know unless you take the case back off and look around there, and a silver rotor. And then I did a super soft leather strap that we did the box talk engraving on there, and then I did a chemical strip buckle on there. So the bezel that's on this is an old 420 style bezel that I chemically stripped down, and then I hand painted black all the way around. So just kind of taking something old and putting it back on there. I thought that looked cool, so just a little revamp of that. And that's the build. So if you're wanting a super cool officer dial build on a brand new movement, everything else brand new, to preserve history, that's what I'm looking for. I like guys who like to do that. And I've got plenty of dials. Each one of these holds, 24 dials? And I don't know, I've got somewhere close to 1,400 dials. Lots of vintage dials, lots of dials that I've created myself, then lots of stock dials. So, but yeah, every 4 of these would have 100, right? So there's quite a few there. So, well, almost 100. They'd have 96, right? And some of them are stacked where I can custom paint them or whatever. So some of them, will hold 10, 15 of them in there if they're just silver. So that's that build. As always with everyone, I go over that this is held on with a tension ring. It is not clickable. No clicking involved. So that's it. Now you can get a good look at that dial. So you can see how it's kind of like purple in the middle, orange reflecting there. So pretty cool dial, right? This is an automatic mechanical. So how that works is unscrew your crown. You're going to hear it and feel it clicking. Now you can wind it. If it is completely dead or you're not going to be very active, wind it back and forth for about 4 or 5 seconds. Therefore, it will keep everything up to date for you, even if you're not very active, and not just pausing you while it's running. So if you do it for something closer to like 20 seconds, you're going to max out your 31-hour power reserve, which is how I wind these to set them here and make sure the next day they are good to go. So this way winds it, this way does nothing, but it's a lot easier to do this than it is to hold it like this. It does get weird because you're repositioning your hands each time. You don't want it to start threading back on. You don't want to pull it out too far that now you're in your setting position. So that's how it works. I just kind of use my finger as a guide, kind of space it off. Now, if you pull it into the one and only click, you can now set the time, which that is the time, but that's not the right date. So how do you advance that date? Well, it's not fun. But in Russia, they didn't have lots of watches to swap around to. They had their watch. That's what they put on, and it maintained the time. So you can see it just advanced to 10. How you get it to go back is you wind it back to 8. Now you'll see the 10 starting to go up in the air, and it dropped back down. Well, just in case, because you can F it up if you don't go back far enough, I go back to 8 o'clock. Okay, Google, what's today's date? This is the day before the wife's birthday. So let's get it on to 14. And okay, Google, what time is it?
It's 3:44 p.m.
And these are not a hacking movement, so that's going to just keep rolling. So 3:44 p.m. Also to note, you've got if you kind of put weird tension on it, you can get that second hand to pause. Very interesting to get it to pause. So once you'll get it here, you'll notice you've got a wobble crown, right? It will go back and forth. It deflects lateral pressure on the movement and makes it super easy to thread back down. And you can go from winding it to setting it, but not from setting it back to winding it. So if you get the pause like that, just do what I did right there. If you there's a weird tension you can kind of put on there to get it to kind of stop. You're kind of pulling it and setting it. It will pause that second hand. So there we go. Oh, got a buddy messaging me right now. So that is the build as a whole. It will, as always, come with color matching beads. And I'm not sure if the wife did this or not, but they kind of look like they might be. I'm going to grab a light just in case they are, because that would be cool if they are. If they're not, then false alarm. Is it a false alarm? It might be. It is. I thought these were loomed beads. They are not. They are just a nice cream color to go with it. But I do have some that kind of look like this that glow in the dark. So false alarm on that. So color matching beads go with it. As always, you're going to get one of my custom boxes. You're going to get some watch clearances good on all metal and glass parts. Non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue. You're going to get some weather conditioners is good to make sure this stays perfectly soft. A little bit will go a long way. Just apply it with a rag like you would on boots, You'll know right when you do it. And lastly, this is an acrylic glass. You can scratch it. If you do, it'll just add to the awesomeness, honestly, with this vintage dial build. But if you don't want that on there anymore, just use some fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 off of Amazon repackaged because they send me a shampoo bottle of it. A little bit will go a long way. Just apply it on there a little bit, just a little bit, because you just need a tiny bit to fill in the scratch. So you buff it back and forth. Use something like an included microfiber. Generate some heat behind your thumb, and that scratch will go away. So if you're looking for a build like this, like, subscribe, reach out to me. I can make you something cool like that. I've got plenty of those older dials, each one unique, because they're 30 plus years old. And a lot of times the serviced watch that I pull them from has seen some shit, and sometimes they weren't fully waterproof and stuff got in. So I've got some various different looks and dials. So thank you for hanging out with me, and hopefully I can build you a watch someday soon. Thanks, guys.